today, I never ever realized a holiday. I try to figure out which one of the things them make it a holiday is Ash Wednesday or is Valentine's Day. It's just ironical that the Roman Catholic Church have the privilege to lock down the island when they want, and it is all written in the Constitution too. You know that a public holiday instituted by the Roman Catholic Church. Everybody have to stop work for take part in this, well, not even a mythology, a lie. You know, this is Ash Wednesday. A whole lot of people don't even know why them have Ash Wednesday, just like a whole lot of people don't even know why them have Boxing Day. If you ask the most Jamaican out there, what is the symbolism or what is the significance of Ash Wednesday, they can't tell you. So it's kind of ironical. It's ironical that we still in this Christmas, Boxing Day, Ash Wednesday, Lent, Easter, Good Friday, all of these things that was institutionalized by the Roman Catholic Church is still indelible in our psyche over the years. And all the lies them them tell that you have people named Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John who write the Gospels, all of these things, and people will die for these talk and arguments. In Jamaica, you have black people who will on it more than white people, really. The ideas that most people who call themselves Christians in Jamaica will on. All light come from Europe. All light. When I say all light, I mean like all of it. You know, if it never come from Europe geographically, it come from Europeans anywhere they find themselves. Because you know, say all Alexander did end up all in Iran, end up in Egypt, and all these places. Him go a certain place and scavenger the city them, burn down the building them, take away the book them, carry go to Greece, and then you say Greece is the center of philosophy and learning. But we know now, even though we never know then what it was and what it was all about. So we can't afford to go back in these stories and these lies and these fantasy stories that them have in front of us as African people. And it's very difficult for wake up African people that them slumber because it is so inside our way, inculcated in a way that, may I tell you, people reason about these things passionately. Passionately. When I say passionately, I mean like to death those part, even though them don't have no reason substantially and justifiably for believing in these things more than say it was handed down through the times and the ages. No, I have no reason to believe it because it has not served us as a people who is domiciled on these farmer slave plantation islands for how much years now. It has not served us. It might serve individuals, but collectively, just like how you have money we serve the Jews them collectively, it served them. That them can all take with people land and call it them own, which was given to them by the British, or these Russians and Germans gather in our center, in our place, and start to declare themselves owners of the land. It served them because them control America, and America give them the biggest aid. Them don't really need it, but it just show the collaboration effort will take place between them. African people have never yet come to that fullness. You know, Marcus Garvey tell you, said, just look for where them do. Him never shun them. Him say, look for where the Jews do. And you see it. And learn from that. And them never talk about the wickedness and the cruelty. Like how them are run out Africans out of Israel and give them till March, the end of March, to leave Israel. As a matter of fact, them actually offer the Africans them $3,500 for leave. Can you imagine that? 20,000. It is claimed 20,000 illegal Africans is in Israel. We remember the days when them did shuttle in 10,000 Ethiopian falashas into Israel to validate Israel as the place where Jewism is the center. 10,000 falashas from Ethiopia. And we go to Israel and we see how the falashas them live. And we are say, I better them stay in Ethiopia and them little hut and mud hut than sit down in the streets of Tel Aviv and suffer like how we see them suffer. And them do all sort of experiment with these falashas in Israel. And now we see that declaration go out now that 20,000 Africans must leave Israel or face lock up. You think it's me that said that just so to create mischief? Go find it out and see if I lie me I tell. He might give them $3,500 for leave, plain fear. And if them don't leave, by the date when them say to the end, I think it's middle end of March, and we'll lock them up. So we see the conspicuous nature of Europeans and how them shape the world according to how them want the world to look and feel and how they want you to think and behave. And a lot of us just gobble it down and don't want to stand firm because we are not educated enough to understand history. History. We don't understand that no ordinary person, no little bit of man will sell fish and a walk up and down in a Judah or Judea could have write Greek so fluently and so articulate. That is like you go to Ethiopia and go up on the street and I tell a youth now, say, or even not even a youth, a man say, look you know, write Greek, translate the history of Ethiopia in Greek. I was like you go down in a Greenwich farm and catch some man who a fish and tell him, say, all right, why you write a book? But why you write it in French? Or even English, for that matter. And see how them can articulate it. It's lie them tell way. Lie them tell way. It's the same Europeans them write it and give it to us to make us feel say it's some people in a them days, in a them time they go write it. Because after we go investigate and figure out certain things, even the place, you know them, and people know why I hear me say these things, you know, but it's Black History Month and it relates to Black history. I don't know much people know say this place what them call Nazareth never exists before the so-called Jesus Christ did about. When them talk about Nazareth and them take come from Nazareth to Bethlehem and Bethlehem to Nazareth. No, we never name so. There's no historical evidence for any city in a them part of the world that names Nazareth. When them say Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus never come from no Nazareth because there was no Nazareth there. You don't believe me? We know about the Nazarene. A group of people named the Nazarene. Is a Nazarene, and then put it now and configure it into Nazareth and put a city there for manipulate our mind, our consciousness with them fables. Them fables that there was a place named Nazareth and some people moved from Bethlehem to Nazareth to come get counted and all these things. A pregnant woman with 9 months pregnant, a dry ride on a donkey 100 miles to go get counted. It's a story where sub lock on to people. But we know and have common sense, and we have also a sense of knowing. And black people still believe these things without serious investigation. And when we tell them about Yoruba tradition, the Akan tradition, Kemetic tradition, the traditions in Zimbabwe, all of those ancient places long before any Jewish tradition did rise up. The temples of Anot and all these places, deep down in Nigeria, the Yoruba. We talk about Akan and all these things in the Congo. Them don't want to hear that because it's black. You know, say it's black. So the other thing come to be white and we feel good and we feel say righter than right. And not knowing say them things are wholly for them things they not go so. It not go so. Because Rome put it there. Rome. Without a doubt. We not ask somebody that. Most of our concept and belief come from out of Rome. As we mentioned a couple months ago, the days of the week, the months of the year, Greco-Roman ideas latch on pan way, and we latch on pan it. And we don't want to relieve ourselves for it. Everybody else relieve themselves for it. We as African people at this time should have read. We should have read. Take the month for read. That is what Black History Month is all about. Black History Month is all about trying to gather information about our past and present. And there's so much book there now that is written by African people, black people. There's so much books out there that can be read. We have to take time to read them. You know, we have to read them. Read about our history, not history. Our story we have to read about, not his story or her story. Our story. How much away since the month start take up a book that relate to African heritage, African culture, and African perspective, African philosophy, you know, very important African philosophy. How much have we take up a book since the month start to deal with that? Yeah, but Valentine's Day we catch you a fine book for write love potions all tight and chocolate and all these things, we're going to rat no teeth. We as African people have to rise up because the thing will go fast and quick. Yeah, man. The illusion that them create and put in front away. It's not an illusion to them because them know to use illusions and get richer or fight and become powerful or fight. We just use illusion and see. We don't even know it's an illusion. So we can't even use it. We just believe it. How much shall we take up a book about Marcus Garvey this month here? Shekinah Diop, Ben Buchanan, J.A. Rogers, all of the great scholars, African scholars. How much of we know about any African scholar for that matter? How much of us know about any African scholars that has written books that can stand up to any European history book that them can bring to us? Because most of the time when we read history, the history we learn in our school is not written by African people. It is handed down to us by the same colonial masters who want to keep us into subjugation to for them thinking and for them way and understanding of self. So we use for them logics to define and decide what is right, what is wrong, how things supposed to be and how things not supposed to be. Look how the Roman Catholic Church grip way. Most Jamaican people is not Roman Catholic. As a matter of fact, them say the fastest rising denomination, Christian denomination in Jamaica is Seventh-day Adventist. And Seventh-day Adventists no celebrate Ash Wednesday. Celebrate Seventh-day Adventists not celebrate Ash Wednesday. Jehovah's Witnesses not celebrate Ash Wednesday. Rasta not celebrate Ash Wednesday. So most Jamaican people don't celebrate Ash Wednesday. But Ash Wednesday is forced upon us as a place where we should come now and rub ashes for thing and start Lenten season and don't try to give up things where you know so you can't give up. And don't eat meat for much days and this and that until Easter come. And then you celebrate another Roman holiday again, Bad Friday and Good Friday and Easter Sunday and Easter Monday. And all is well again and you're back to normal. It's a ritual that is not perfected in the consciousness because it is not ours. Most youth don't even know what is Good Friday, what the purpose why them tell us celebrate Good Friday. Most youth at Jamaica don't know about Good Friday. Them hear the name Good Friday, but them don't know what is happening. Why them celebrate Good Friday? Why you celebrate something you don't know about? You should have investigate it. And that is how them have we know. Just follow blindly like zombie, according to Villa. Them say go right, you turn right. Turn left, you turn left. Zombie, oh, I just zombie. The whole way a zombie. We not think. So when somebody come now and write a book for make you think, I say something for make you think, you shun them. You say, no, I'm foolish, it's not. Where you want to that far? We are going so all the while, not never did wrong. Well, something wrong. Because we don't at the bottom of the ladder, continuously try to figure out how to get up. The reason why we can't get up is because we are using the other man's logics and the other man's definition of self to define we as a people. And the only way we can define ourselves as a people is through his eyes. And powerful people, according to according to John Henry Clark, powerful people will never educate powerless people in what it means to take the power away from them. Because the aim of powerful people is to stay powerful by any means necessary. You want to say that again? John Henry Clark said, he said, powerful people will never educate powerless people in what it means to take the power away from them. Because the aim of powerful people is to stay powerful by any means necessary. So it's even for perpetuate a 400, 500-year lie, a 2,000-year lie, them going to do it because them know say by perpetuating it to the children of the farmer slave them will be perpetually enslaved, and they will be the masters of these people who feel them free. So we're going to wake up out of that now. We need to educate ourselves into African consciousness. There's so much things out there we can't say we don't know again. You have computer now. You have computer now. You know, I get some response from people at some place where I say, hey, you know, listen to me. And people are respond to what I say. So it's not like say the thing is hidden anymore. You know, it's not like you have to hide something now. Or it's not like say you can't hide it anymore. It's out there. The information is out there. The people that with the most information is them who rule the world, or is them rule the world. Because information rule the world. And African people lack information, especially in this part of the world. We're into superstition. Superstition. And he said superstitious behavior is part of the whole criteria to spirituality. Superstition can't carry to nothing spiritual. And that is how black people define themselves, whether in Africa or Anya. So we're very superstitious, and it's not like Europeans don't superstitious, you know. But we don't superstitious in our own things. Because then we don't understand how it works. So only we lack information and so we're inspired. You can't be inspired without information because all of that would be superstition. And African people, because they are not informed, them use them belief to define reality. You can't define reality through a belief. You have to define reality through a logical, practical understanding of how things work. How things work have to be in front of you. Spirituality in the African consciousness is reality. It's a living being, a living form, a living idea, a living thought. We work off, in the Western world, we work off a faith. And when I talk against faith, we just say, if that is the only thing that defines your reality, then you don't have no reality at all. No reality at all. So when Rome come, and them start to show with certain things, we have to really figure it out. And if we can't figure it out by sitting down to ourselves, we can talk to other persons or go on the internet or something, we have to figure it out. Then Martin Luther, we're not talking about Martin Luther King now, we're talking about the German. The German we are talking about. The German Martin Luther. That is where Martin Luther King Senior get him name from. Martin Luther, the German, in a Germany, during the time of the Reformation, during the time when the Protestant them are raised. We're going to come forward. This is the cutting edge on RFM. Yes, this is the cutting edge. So we are continuing the journey into the awakening of the African mind and the African consciousness. This is Black History Month. We're very concerned. We're very concerned because we see the people them are moving more and more. We're talking about the majority of people now who is not very educated are moving more and more from them African nest. But guess what now? The problem with that is that you know if you're born in Africa, if you be African, because them take you out of Africa, but them couldn't take the African out away. So there's something that is in our still that we need to ignite. And you need something for jolt African people to make them know, say, hey, you're African. You know, say African. Where you going so far? You understand? And it's going to take a serious shock too. If you like use 120 volt, you have to use a 400 volt to shock these people. Them really need some shock. You know, them just mentioned a movie a while ago about the Black Panther. It's a fantasy movie, but it have black characters, black heroes, and it actually a project African clothes and certain part aspect of African culture. I bet you that movie there will have an effect on how people view African wears, African clothes. I remember my lady introduced African wears, and people never did know, say, when you say African clothes, people think primarily West Africa. Africa is a continent, it's not a country. You have 50 different countries in there. And a whole heap of them have them different wears. So most of the time when people think about African clothes, them think Nigeria. Because Nigeria have 170 million people there. And for them, style and fashion is very pronounced. Given also that them have a thing named Bollywood, where them are make movie more than Hollywood. But the point is that the pop culture is one of the ways where people get ignited into cultural expressions. Just like when people see Beyonce on TV, they want to look like her, or Rihanna. The young people, they want to look like her. Even old people told me, see, some old people are just like Beyonce. I know me. I say, what are them mad people? Just like when them see the hip-hop artists, them, or even the dancehall artists, them, in the mainstream, by them TV every day. What we find is that a lot of times the African them who is conscious need to integrate and need to really usurp the pop culture and bring the pop culture Just like how Rastafari used pop culture to project Rastafari. That's a good example of how a group of people use pop culture to spread a message, an African message and a spirituality that is not found or was not found in the music. I think this movie is a very significant movie because it actually shows African things in there in a more, what we call, even though it's fantasy, but there's a lot of things in there where we can see how people that look for. Because I see places now, I say, them can make you clothes for go out there, I know me hear say RFM down there. You hear say RFM go down there and Zipper go down there and think. But it's very interesting, very interesting. Anyway, the reason why we are saying all of them things there is because African history never started slavery. Slavery is not African history. It's which part African history got broken. Now we are trying to mend it back now. So we have to go beyond slavery. We have to go beyond slavery because that is when Africa was in its glory days. Before the Europeans come there with them Bible and them gun and teach us to pray with our eyes closed. And when we open the eye, them have the land and we have the Bible. And them use the gun to make sure say we accept that. And we are talking about everywhere in Africa, even in Ethiopia too. We don't like that, bite that. Italians go to Ethiopia. Europeans in Egypt go over to Ethiopia and influence the African them into this thing where them call Christianity. And we accept it because the whole heap of it we accept as part of our reality. And most of it we grow out of. We grow out of it. So it's a step. It's a step. We grow out of certain things and we come realize different now. We come realize that our reality cannot be bound by a book with 66 books in it. Our reality cannot be bound by some little fantasies and illusions that is projected in the pages of a book where we know say them things like not real. It's not real. It cannot happen. How them say it happen, it's not real. Because there's no evidence of those things happening now. And there's no evidence of it did happen before. And you cannot validate a book by using the same book to validate it. That is madness. You can't validate a book by using the same book to validate it. It just don't work that way there. I want to tell the people about the Poetry in Motion. Yes, 2 poetry festivals are going. One this month and one next month. We have Poetry in Motion, Sunday, February 25th. You know, so this is Yasser Safari initiative, Manchester Golf Club. That is in Mandeville. That is Poetry in Motion. I go on for 15 years now. We want to say, yes, so I got you. And you know, say, every year it pack up. Yes, every year. We did it from before it reached the venue right there now, till it there now. But yes, and Poetry in Motion. And then we have the This Poem Words Agro Festival, where it gone back to the school. If memory serves me right, I do have a flyer there, but yeah, if I'm Takura want call and get the operator to give me the information, I think it's March, the end of March there. So Takura, if you're listening, give me the information for this poem Agro Festival, Poetry and Agro Festival. And I think it gone back to the school where it start. So, yes. This is the Cutting Edge on RFM. We're there with you. We are going through Black History Month. Black History Month. You talked about Martin Luther a while ago, and we make the connection between the Roman Catholic and the holidays that we have. And most of the holidays that we have, religious holidays, is was given to us by the Roman Catholic Church. You know, I mean, most of the religions now that surround us have its genesis in the Roman Catholic Church, but most of them break away and form them own little thing, given where them are deal with. So here we are saying now, them have a place named St. Peter's Basilica. For those of you who ever hear about St. Peter's Basilica, that's where the Pope lived, right in the heart of Rome. That's all. Them call it Vatican City. Vatican City is the smallest country in the world, but one of the richest country in the world, and center in our city itself. Can you believe that? Vatican City in our next city, you know. Yes, it's in a Rome. Rome is a city. But Rome history transcends all the other histories of the Western world, in that a lot of the belief system that people hold fast to come from out of that place, Rome, through the Pope them, through the Emperor them. You know, we talk about Pope Emperor Constantine all the while, but when Rome did not control the place, even in what them call Jerusalem, them place there, because that is how them destroy the temple them. The Greco-Roman ideas flourish in them time there. So you did have a man now named Martin Luther. And I must tell you that Martin Luther King we are talking about now. Martin Luther influence Martin Luther, Senior Martin Luther King. Martin Luther Jr., which is the famous black civil rights leader, where talk about peaceful means. One of the people them who him say influence him is Mahatma Gandhi, but the name itself was influenced from this German named Martin Luther. Martin Luther was a man who never find favor with the Roman Catholic Church. Never find favor with the Roman Catholic Church, because once again, just like Henry VIII, him did want married too. And you know the church, it lick out certain sound. But the interesting thing about Martin Luther is that him write book against the Jews. Him thinks the Jews should be burnt and all at the stake and all them something. This is a serious issue we are talking about now. But you did have a pope named Pope Leo. That's before the St. Peter's Basilica did build. Because you know them tell you, say, Peter, the same Peter in the Bible, is buried under the Basilica, the church. Them bury man underneath there, so. That is what them say. Anyway, Pope Leo did want to build a more refined place for the church. And I kid you not, in Rome, in Europe, people did almost, just like the scammer them, just like how you have the scammer them now, people were selling salvation, not turning to the Bible itself, but actually selling documents and things that can really give you salvation, that you can bypass certain aspects of what the Bible preach and get salvation. And this guy, when he Martin Luther now, was adamant against it. Adamant against it. But here we know, the Pope, seeing that this thing was making whole heap of money, and him did want to build when them now call St. Peter's Basilica, him decide say him go jump into the fray now and say yes, him go use that and make some money. Well, remember, the Pope them the rich, you know, and this Virgin Martin Luther did wonder why the Pope never take them the wealth to him have and build St. Peter's Basilica. Well, it so happened that the Pope get involved with this scam about say you can't buy salvation and start to sell this idea and get enough money for build St. Peter's Basilica. Martin Luther now break away from the Roman Catholic Church and start to protest against the Roman Catholic Church and have a thing named the Protestants. So you get the Protestant church, you know. The Protestant church come out of the idea, the breaking away from the Roman Catholic Church by Martin Luther, just like how Henry VIII broke away from the Roman Catholic Church and formed the Anglican Church. The Church of England is Anglican, and that was coming from Henry VIII. Well, Martin Luther now, the Protestant church, is coming from this guy named Martin Luther, who couldn't detect the Roman Catholic Church again because of all the corruption with them that deal with. And the Pope, Leo, did get involved in the corruption to the point of him collect enough money to build St. Peter's Basilica. So, why may I say this to you now? May I say this because St. Peter's Basilica is like Buckingham Palace to England. St. Peter's Basilica is to the Roman Catholic Church because that's where the Pope rest, lie, and them say Peter is the first Pope. That is what them tell me now, you know. So Peter is the first Pope, and him is buried under the earth. Now, all of these things cannot be proven, but people hang on upon it over the years. And you have black people in Africa who right now hold on upon Roman Catholicism more than the Europeans them. Meanwhile, the people them in Africa suffer. They must sell the people them the salvation message that come from the same Rome, the same Pope them, who did use scam to make up wealth and build up them big, when name the church and them thing there. Just like how you have these white people them now who call themselves televangelists, and you have some in Nigeria too, who are use money, who are use the same doctrine, get rich quick in the name of Jesus. And build up church, and build up not only church, but have only for Mercedes-Benz and jet plane and all them something there. Now we never know if we use it collectively as African people. We'll do it individually, but as collective, we never do it. You know, Roman Catholic Church set up St. Peter's Basilica, and you have about 1 billion people who will die for the Pope. And all the things them that them say about eating the flesh of Jesus and drinking his blood, and Ash Wednesday, and Easter, and Christmas, and all other things them in between. And them have African people have followed these things to death. To death, them have African people have followed these things. And most African people right now will prefer to be a Roman Catholic than to be a part of the African traditions of ancient days, well longer than Rome and the St. Peter's Basilica and the Pope them. The craziness that used to go on in a Rome is not matched nowhere on earth when it comes on to wickedness by these so-called people who is vicar of Christ. And you have African people who will give them life for these fantasies, them fantastic stories. And when I educate yourself differently, the most of the school them in Jamaica, that what them call IN school, was started by the church. Then why if you say the youth them and the people them who are governed now is so oppressive? Because them have come from a system that was oppressing our foreparents, and them just continue it, and that is how them help to maintain white supremacy. Europeans don't have to be here to maintain that. Them left them institutions here. Them church and them school, democracy and all these things, them left it here. So as to maintain them power. So when you think say choose black people a rule, it means say why we are talking about white people and black people a rule. Then look on today. Today is Ash Wednesday. What does it have to do with black people? What does it have to do with black people? It don't have nothing to do with black people. But it is maintained. It is maintained here. This is legislated. This is a legislated holiday. It is maintained here as part of our culture. We who were, our ancestors were slaves, have to maintain that Ash Wednesday, Easter, Christmas, and all the other things that will come in between. And we still not awake. We still not awake. Because we can't show it, we don't know why we are showing it. And we can't keep it and don't know why we are keep it. Because you have some people who say, well, if you show it, what you have to put in place? You don't have to put nothing in place. You don't have to put nothing in the place. If you don't have Christmas, you don't have to put nothing in the place at Christmas because Christmas today you have to put something in that place. It's like a man and say, boy, right now, he's going to nasty up the street because if he's not nasty up the street, the garbage man now going to have no work. That is a mentality there where we out. You have to have tea because if you don't have no tea, police are going to have no work. It's joke business that, joke talk. So when them give away Rome, because the thing is that even Rastafari feel that he would have prefer lick against Babylon and maintain Rome. Because you hardly hear a man attack white Rome, burn down Rome, and I mean, people say it, but most of the time when we talk in the negative about an oppressive system, we talk about Babylon. And the reason why we say Babylon is because we read the Bible where it is alleged that the Jews were persecuted by the Babylonians. And Nebuchadnezzar, the king of Babylon, put 3 men named Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and them never get burned, and the lion never eat them because them was vegetarian. Sensible story. But why should we now fight against Babylon? Because we use Babylon as a metaphor for cruelty and wickedness and oppression. When it's really Rome, we should have direct that anger against. Rome. Rome is where we should have direct the anger against, not necessarily Babylon. Because when you get right down to it, the Babylonians never do we nothing. The Babylonians never instill them religious practice and beliefs in our ancestors and in slavery. And the Romans, them do that from time immemorial. From the days of the Caesars. When them connect with Greece, Greco-Roman ideas, all in Ethiopia. You go to Ethiopia, you see the residues and the remnants of Greece. Greece is all over Ethiopia. In the church, Greece then there. Rome, Greece, England, all these places have been able to maintain them supremacy in the Western world. And anyone who get caught in the Western world maintain that supremacy for them. This is the cutting edge. Yes, this is the cutting edge. You know, we played Randy Valentine a while ago, bridging out of England. We want to play another tune by him, you know. Yeah, we're going to play